Kendo is now enjoyed by many enthusiasts all over the world, as well as in Japan. We would like children to learn the correct techniques of Kendo, and thus grow to be healthy adults with strong bodies, honest minds and vigorous spirits through the practice of Kendo. This instruction program, produced by the All Japan Kendo Federation, is designed to show the important fundamental movements and techniques of Kendo. We hope it will help beginners and instructors alike. The apparel of Kendo consists of the keikogi, the jacket, and the hakama, the skirt-like trousers. This is how the keikogi is fastened. Overlap the keikogi around the chest tidily and tie the strings securely so that they will not come untied while practicing. When putting on the hakama, step into the left side first. When taking it off, step out of it from the right side first. Place the front part of the hakama around your abdomen. Pass the strings 1.5 times around your waist and then tie them behind your back. Place the koshita, the stiff back part of the hakama, at your waist. Bring the right and left strings of the koshita to your front and tie them in a reef knot. Tuck the ends of the tied koshita strings under the front side strings on both sides. Then put your hands through the openings on both sides of the hakama and pull down the jacket to ensure it's comfortable around your waist. The hakama should come down to your ankles. It's important for the back to be higher than the front. When putting on the protective armor, first sit squarely on the floor and then put it on in this order. First put on the tare, which is the waist protector. Tie the strings in a secure hanamusubi, a bow under the large center flap. This is called the odare. When tying on the do, the chest protector, make sure the strings on both sides are the same length. This is how you tie the do strings. It's important to tie the waist strings in a secure hanamusubi behind your back. Next, wrap the thin cotton towel around your head. This is called the tenugui. There are 2 ways of doing it. This is one. This is the other way. When putting on the mask or men, make sure your chin securely fits into the chin rest. Draw alternately on both strings so that the men securely fits your head and face. When you tie the knot, make sure both sides are equal and don't hang down more than 40 centimeters. Adjust the strings on either side of your head so they're parallel to each other. Open the men flaps above your ears. This is important to remember in order to avoid damage to your eardrums. There are two ways to anchor the men strings. One way is to fasten them to the top of the men and pass them under the chin. The other way is to fasten them to the fourth metal rib from the bottom. When putting on the hand protectors or kote, put on the left one first. When taking off the kote, take off the right one first. Always put your armor on properly, so it won't come untied while practicing. Learn the names of the part of the shinai, the bamboo sword, the sakigawa, the datotsubu, the nakayui, the tsuba and the tsuka. Never use a defective shinai, and always inspect it before use. Here the tsuba, the guard, is in the wrong place. Here the line of the tsuru is twisted and the nakayui has been turned sideways. This shinai has a loose nakayui, which has moved towards the tsuka, the hilt. It's extremely dangerous. A shinai that's been repaired with adhesive tape is also very dangerous. This shinai has a broken sakigawa, the protective leather cap for the tip. A shinai that is broken or that has fine splits is also particularly dangerous. The value of inspecting your shinai before use cannot be emphasized strongly enough. There are many ways to carry kendo equipment, but this is the way most people do. First, insert the kote into the men and carry the men in your right arm. Hold the shinai in your left hand. When placing the equipment on the floor, first sit down squarely. Place your shinai at your left side and ensure that the tsuba is in line with your left knee, with the tsuru facing outward. Place both kote side by side in front of your right knee with the nigiri pointing outward. Place the men on the kote. There are two common ways of placing the tenugui. One is to spread it open over the men. The other way is to fold it into a square and insert it into the men. Kendo begins and ends with rei, good manners. Great importance is thus placed on proper etiquette. It's extremely important to develop the art of kendo by exercising appropriate manners and proper posture to express appreciation to your partner. Manners are called rei. There are two types of rei. These are ritsu-rei, rei in the standing position, and zarei, rei in the seated position. To perform ritsu-rei to shinzen, for example, incline your upper body at an angle of about 30 degrees, with your eyes cast down to the floor. When exchanging ritsu-rei with your opponent, incline your upper body at an angle of about 15 degrees. It's considered rude to lose eye contact with your opponent when bowing. This exchange is also called moku-rei. Rei that is performed in a seated position is called zarei. Hold your back straight and place your hands on your thighs. Open your knees to a distance of about 1 or 2 closed fists. When sitting on the floor, either overlap the big toes of your 2 feet or place them side by side. Place your buttocks on your heels. When standing up, start with your right leg. This is the procedure which is commonly observed. When sitting, start with your left leg. This is zare. When inclining your upper body, don't tilt your neck or raise your waist. Place both of your hands on the floor simultaneously and quietly. Also lift them from the floor simultaneously. Correct posture is very important. This position is called shizentai and is the natural standing position that constitutes the basis of the kamae, the posture. Keep your chin down, hold your back straight, and relax to release any excessive strain from your shoulders. Let's look at some of the basic kamae or postures. This is chudan no kamae, the most important one in Kendo. This is morote hidari jodan no kamae. This is gedan no kamae. This is hasso no kamae. And this is wakigamae. Let's first study chudan no kamae, which constitutes the basis of all other postures. Place the little finger of your left hand at the tip of the hilt. Apply firm pressure with the bottom 3 fingers and light pressure with the index finger and thumb. Position your right hand immediately behind the tsuba, the guard. The length of the tsuka should be the same length as your forearm. Hold the tsuka in a way in which the spaces between the thumbs and first fingers of both hands are in line with the extended line of the tsuru. Tense both wrists inwards in a squeezing motion and position your left hand at the height of your navel, about 1 closed fist away from your body. The correct positioning of your hands can be achieved by locating the base of your left thumb at the same height as your navel. This is the correct form of chudan no kamae. This is an example of the wrong way to grip the tsuka with the right and left hands. In this grip, the location of the left hand is too high and both elbows extend too far outward. This is another bad grip. Both hands are squeezing too tightly. The left hand is too low and both elbows extend in a manner that's too straight. This is the correct form of chudan no kamae. Position the kensen, the tip of the sword, at the same height as your throat. When facing your opponent, position the kensen at the same height as your opponent's throat, and direct the extended line of the kensen to point between the 2 eyes or at the left eye of your opponent. Keep the entire body of your opponent in sight, but center your focus around his eyes. Place your toes to point straight ahead, and put a distance of about 1 closed fist between your feet. Place the toes of your left foot in line with your right heel. Raise your left heel slightly and balance your weight equally on both feet. This is an example of a bad position, in that the heels of both feet remain on the floor. In this position, the toes of the left foot are pointing outward and are not in parallel with the right toes. In this position, the tiptoed stance is excessive. In this position, the 2 feet are spaced too widely apart, forward and backward. Furthermore, the left heel is raised too high. Smooth and natural movements cannot be developed from these incorrect foot positions. Raise your left heel slightly and balance your weight equally on both feet. Let's study the entire series of movements from the assumption of kamae through the return of the shinai back to its original position. This is called sageto. The shinai is carried with the tsuru facing downward. Exchange ritsure with your opponent. This is taito. Raise your left hand to waist level with your thumb on the tsuba. Keep the kensen at 45 degrees. Take 3 steps forward from your right foot. Raise the shinai in an arc over your head and adopt the sonkyo position, the crouching position. Watch closely how the feet are placed when assuming the sonkyo position. Bend your knees outward at an angle of about 90 degrees. It's essential that you hold your upper body straight when assuming the sonkyo position. Watch how you and your opponent should assume the required posture, facing each other. This is the way you should replace your shinai. First, return to your original position. Assume chudan no kamae. Then back to the sonkyo position and return the shinai to the taito position. Now stand up and return to the ritsure location. Start with your left foot. Finally lower the shinai to the sageto position and exchange ritsure. The distance between you and your opponent, as well as good timing for effective offensive and defensive actions, are called maai. Let's take a look at the basic maai for striking. Issoku itto no maai. 1 step forward enables you to hit your opponent. Equally, 1 step back is all you have to take for evasive action. Your shinai and your opponent's should cross at about 10 centimeters from the kensen. A closer stance is called chikai maai or chikama. This is a larger interval called toi maai or toma. Footwork plays an important role in striking your opponent and parrying his offense while maintaining a proper maai. Footwork techniques are known collectively as ashi sabaki. This is ayumi ashi. It enables you to move forward and backward far enough and with sufficient speed when you begin waza or sword technique from a wide maai. Okuriashi enables you to move freely in various directions. It's used most often to begin a waza from Issoku Itto no Maai. This footwork is called Hirakiashi. It's used to strike your partner or parry his offense while moving to the right or left. This is Tsugiashi. Draw your left foot up behind your right one, then take a big stride forward again with the right leg. Whatever footwork is used, it's important to keep a straight back and move from the waist, sliding your feet over the floor so you always maintain the correct kamae. Joge suburi is the name given to an important exercise, swinging the shinai in a series of downward movements over the head. All suburi exercises are indispensable for the practice of Kendo. Synchronize the movements of the shinai and your body, and when practicing Joge suburi, make sure that your left hand always passes right in front of the middle of your face. Add forward and backward footwork to your suburi, and describe a large arc with the point of the shinai. This stroke is called naname suburi, which is a diagonal swing. Turn your shinai diagonally over your head and swing downward at a 45-degree angle. Add footwork to your naname suburi. Kukan datotsu is the name given to striking into empty space. Imagine your opponent in the space before you and practice datotsu, striking, at his men, kote and do, as well as tsuki, which is a thrust to the throat. This stroke is called shomen-uchi, which is frontal striking. It's essential to imagine that your opponent's body is the same size as your own. This stroke is called migi kote-uchi, striking at the right wrist. Hold your shinai aloft in a large arc so you can see your opponent's right kote between your arms. This is migi do-uchi, striking at the right side of the body. The movement comes from the wrist, and your left fist should stay in line with your body. This stroke is called hasuji no kaeshi. Keep your body upright as you twist the blade of the shinai. This stroke is called tsuki, which is a thrust to the throat. Thrust to the throat by stepping in while squeezing both wrists inward. The moment after your thrust, immediately return to the chudan no kamae posture. This is choyaku suburi, which is suburi with a jumping motion added. It's also called haya suburi. This exercise is essential for mastering harmonized arm and leg movements. Swing downward when you step forward and swing upward when you step back. This is a bad example in that the kensen is too far upward and the movement of the left foot is too small. The model is simply jumping here without any stepping movements. Here the left foot is swung too far forward. These are all typical beginner's mistakes. When you untie the kendo armor, always sit squarely on the floor and then take off the equipment. When taking off the equipment, take off in this order: right kote, left kote, men, tenugui, do, and finally the tare. Store the complete set of equipment very carefully in one place. This introductory program has shown you the various fundamentals you must correctly understand and learn before you actually initiate the practice of Kendo techniques. We hope that you'll begin and continue the practice on the basis of what you've learned from this program, so you'll eventually be able to develop advanced techniques.